Arkansas basketball winning the SEC tournament for the first time since 2000. Then it's an eventful Sunday. We got their seed. The Hogs will be a 4 seed in the NCAA tournament. They're headed to Portland on Thursday to take on Hawaii. Hello and welcome into THV11's bracket breakdown. Tyler Cass in studio in Little Rock, and there you see on the screen behind me, Nick Luttrell on scene in Nashville. We will get to the breaking down the bracket part of all this, but first, Nick, you were there in the building as Arkansas crowned kings of the SEC for the first time in over 25 years. Nick, what was the scene like in Nashville?
Tyler, it was awesome. I've been fortunate to be to a lot of these, to get to attend a lot of these SEC tournament games over the past decade plus, and Arkansas has come close a few times in the Mike Anderson years. They made it to they made it to the SEC championship game, but they always lost to this guy named John Calipari. And now the Razorbacks have John Calipari on their side, and they're winning it here in Nashville. So it's a good feeling, and it's a funny feeling too, because Coach Cal always preaches that, you know, the SEC tournament doesn't mean that much in the grand scheme of things. It might improve your seeding a little bit or who you play in the NCAA tournament, but it's funny because he wins a lot of them, and this is his first as a Razorback of hopefully many. It was a special day to be a part of. I think the players understood that as well. They played with effort, with toughness, like this was a Sweet 16 game, and it felt like the environment was to that level. So, man, it was an exciting game to be here in Nashville, Bridgestone Arena. There's still a few Razorback fans scattered here walking around downtown Nashville, but it was a fun win for the Razorbacks to take down Vanderbilt in the SEC championship game. But what is Coach Calipari really focused on? Well, he's focused on what's next.
And we'll talk about the NCAA tournament probably tomorrow. About the first game is the hardest game. And after that, you get a feel that it's no different than anything else, that you got to stay in your little corner. 1 week at a time, 1 weekend at a time. See if you can get to the third weekend.
Yeah, and I think that's how a lot of Arkansas fans feel. You want to get to that third weekend. That third weekend is the Final Four in Indianapolis, and that'd be the only chance Arkansas has to play a little closer to home. If you think about it, the Razorbacks got a little bit of a tough draw geographically. They're headed to Portland, Oregon, and if they can win this upcoming weekend, the next weekend will be in San Jose, California. So it's all on the West Coast for the Razorbacks unless they can make it to the Final Four, which if they play like they did today, you got to have some confidence in this Razorback team going forward. But it's a win today for the Razorbacks. They're SEC tournament champs, and nobody can take that away from the Razorbacks.
Meantime, the 4 seed going to Portland, Arkansas, with Darius Acuff Jr., the SEC Player of the Year, as a freshman. Monster day today in their championship, and they will face Hawaii, back for the first time in a decade after Isaac Big Fish Johnson scored 22 in the Big West Championship game last night.
There you see it, the bracket for the Razorbacks. They will be in the West region. Nick started to mention it a little bit there. They're going to have to fly a little bit. They're headed to Portland, Oregon, where they'll take on Hawaii. And Nick, look, my initial thought when I saw that was it went from Arkansas, a 4 seed, good, they finally got off that 5 line, to, man, they're making them go to Oregon. And I got to imagine that's kind of the thought process that a lot of people had. You mentioned Hog fans still kind of milling around in their happiness. I also understand you got to talk to some of them about the draw.
Yeah, I did, Tyler, and it was cool to be able to see some of the Razorback fans stick around. Actually, part of the reason I think some people didn't leave tonight was because of that severe weather that you guys at home have been watching on YouTube and THV11+. So they're sticking around here to get home safely tomorrow morning, and that's what I'll be doing. But College Game Day was here, the College Game Day crew. They're wrapping up their set, but actually behind the camera. But a lot of Arkansas fans stuck around for that, waited for Arkansas to hear their draw. And it's certainly true to say there was some mixed reactions, some negatives to the location of where Arkansas is headed, but some positives too. Hey, there's a lot of confidence in this group going forward after winning an SEC title.
I think we kind of got, can I say screwed? I think we kind of got screwed. We're on the West Coast all the way till the Final Four. The selection committee didn't do us any favors.
I like the chances. As long as we stay healthy, Darius Acuff, game changer. I mean, give him the ball, good things happen.
I think we're as good as, we can play as good as any team in the country. but we're going to have to show up. If the Florida Razorbacks show up, then we're in trouble. But if today's Razorbacks show up, we can beat anybody.
Yeah, and that last fan there made a good point of talking about the kind of two different teams we've seen at times this year for the Razorbacks. But again, you have to have confidence for Arkansas when you win what is maybe the second, I would say this year, the second best conference in college basketball in the SEC. When you win that tournament, granted they had some easier games in their first 2 ones and they didn't have to play Florida or Texas A&M or Alabama, but it's still the SEC and it's still quality teams that Arkansas beat to make it to the title game and then to win the title game. But no doubt, going forward, it's a tough draw geographically for the Razorbacks as they head to Portland. And yeah, it's disappointing in that regard, I think, for a lot of fans who were willing to be like, hey, let's go to Oklahoma City, let's go to St. Louis, some of these closer regional sites that Vanderbilt is going to and Alabama, I think, is going to. Maybe they're going to Tampa, which sounds a little bit more exciting than Portland, with all due respect. But it's a tough draw for the Razorbacks as they head west, Tyler.
Yeah, to the fine people of Portland, Nick's address is, no, I'm kidding. You guys have your donuts and your public libraries and whatnot. All right, let's take a look now at the bracket for the Razorbacks. It is, as we said, the West region. As we have stressed, they will be playing in the West, and the number 1 seed in that region, the Arizona Wildcats, and they'll take on Long Island. Fins up, obligatory. Yeah, I don't see, here we're going to go through my predictions right now. I don't see another 16 seed taking down Arizona. Full disclosure, on our show Let's Bet, where we go through the world of sports betting, before the season started, we all had to pick a national champion, and I picked the Wildcats. I picked the Arizona Wildcats before the season even started. This is not me tooting my own horn that they've been good. It was very obvious that they were going to be good. That was not a crazy out of left field pick. Here they are earning a 1 seed. And yeah, my preseason national champ, I can't have go down to a 16. On that 8-9 line, it's a toss-up. We know this every year. 8 seed, 9 seed, there is not too much of a difference. I'm going to do what I think a lot of people are going to do and give the nod to Villanova based off of pedigree, of having been there as a program before in the first round. Utah State could win this game and it would shock absolutely nobody. You do not win your bracket challenges on the 8-9 line, folks. Flip a coin, see how you feel. To Wisconsin and High Point, look, every year they always say, oh, there's always an upset at the 5-12. And I'm gonna go with conventional wisdom. I'm taking the upset. Oh no, we put that in wrong. I've changed my mind, I think, since I made this graphic. I'm gonna pick High Point over Wisconsin. Maybe this is Nick's pick, and we'll ask him in a little bit. I think High Point pulls it off. A, there's always a 12 over a 5. B, there is often, not always, but very often it seems, a 12 over a Big Ten 5 specifically. And then this High Point team won 30 games this year, and they did so in a way that feels very conducive to the little guy making an upset. High Point, one of the best teams in the country at creating turnovers, and on the flip side, they turn the ball over less than pretty much every other team in the country. So if they can turn over Wisconsin, get a few more shots than the Badgers, I'm actually going to pick High Point to go and give whoever wins between Arkansas and Hawaii a slightly easier run to a Sweet 16 matchup. Now with Arkansas and Hawaii, I'm taking the Razorbacks. I don't have Arkansas going down in the first round. Now, as we get ready to face off with this Rainbow Warrior team out of Hawaii, get ready to hear a lot about their defense. Hawaii is not a team that puts up big offensive numbers. In fact, bottom half of the country as far as offense goes. But top half for defense, and they play a very different style of defensive basketball. There's a couple different words for it. A lot of times, most common you'll hear is no switch. They are going to guard you straight up man-to-man. They do not, no switch, no help defense. They force you to beat them one-on-one, which throws a lot of teams off their rhythm. Not when Arkansas has one of the best one-on-one players, not just in the SEC, but in the entire country and in the entire tournament, in Darius Acuff Jr. We just saw him score the 3rd most points in an SEC tournament ever, which he did in 3 games. The guys who are 1 and 2, they got to play 4 games, only scored single-digit points less than Darius did in 3 games. He keeps it going. The other thing you're going to hear a lot is a Kemba Walker-style run. As people around the country start to learn what we in Arkansas have always known about Darius Acuff, he is that guy. He proves it time and time again in big games. Hawaii is going to force him to play one-on-one a lot. Darius Acuff, that's what he wants. He's going to eat that up. I think Arkansas advances in the first round. And then I'm going to stick, like I said, Arizona was my preseason national champion. I can't have them fall in that early. They take down Villanova, and we get the Wildcats of Tucson, Arizona in the Sweet 16. Now, again, Wisconsin would be a tough matchup for Arkansas. They got two of the best guards in the country. Arkansas does tend to thrive against teams with good guards. It's the other thing that gives them issues. Wisconsin or High Point, I would still take Arkansas. I think this is a second weekend team. Anything less than that, I will be the first to say, huge disappointment. And I know that, look, the NCAA tournament, it's hard. You don't want to necessarily judge an entire season off the tournament, but this is a results-based business, folks. And if Arkansas goes down in either the first or second round, even if it's to Wisconsin, a 4 losing to a 5, not the biggest deal, but this is a Razorback team that I think folks at home know is capable of so much more. So I think Arkansas makes it the second weekend. I've got them going up against Arizona in the Sweet 16. I will preface this with my normal caveat of picking against Arkansas. The Hogs could do it. It would not surprise me if Arkansas takes down Arizona. John Calipari, of course, has that March pedigree. He's got the super scoring guard that he needs in Darius Acuff. And we saw in today's SEC championship game what happens when the bench guys get going as well. Give me a good DJ Wagner and the Hogs to make a run. Off the top, though, I'm taking Arizona to win this game. Another team like Arkansas, whose best players are freshmen, so we'll see whose freshmen can rise to the occasion in March. But one of the big names to know, if we do get the U of A versus U of A matchup, is Koa Pete, the 6'8", 6'9"-ish freshman phenom for Arizona, the exact kind of player that just gives the Razorbacks fits. And we've talked for the last month or so that this is a Razorback team where the draw is super important. Against superstar guards, Arkansas can counter that. They'll say, yeah, you want us to outscore you 120, 115? We'll try and do that. But it's against bigs with a lot of athleticism and size that Arkansas has struggled. Think back to the Duke game. Think about the Florida game. And Arizona, while not exactly that, does present a much bigger, from a pure literal physical size thing, than Arkansas it feels comfortable matching up with. So just based on the paper matchup, I would take Arizona over Arkansas to advance to the Elite Eight. But again, this is a Razorback team with all of the pieces to put together a run much further, maybe even all the way to Indianapolis. That's where the Final Four is, by the way. And Indianapolis, a little bit closer to Arkansas than Portland, Oregon, or San Jose, California, or anywhere else where the West region might play. And look, I know Razorback fans, this game could be played on another continent, and Hog fans would still show up. So even with the Razorbacks all the way out west, I don't think it's going to be as much an issue for fans as it would be for other teams that have to make the really long plane, bus, train. However you get to the West Coast, I know Hog fans will be there for the Razorbacks. All right, we're going to head back out to Nashville now, where we find Nick Luttrell. Nick, you heard him. That 2018 miles number, by the way, that's the distance from Fayetteville to Portland. It's going to be even a little further from Nashville, so you better start running.
Yeah, so you're going to leave now? I was going to get my I'll stay here just for a few more minutes if that's okay, and then I'll get to work because I know that's what you want out of me. But, hey, we mentioned Arkansas has a tough draw. Obviously, Coach Calipari is Coach Calipari about it, and, you know, throwing out the jokes. I'm sure he wished it was closer to have that home court advantage. But it is what it is. Arkansas has that draw, and hopefully they'll be ready to go with, as you mentioned, a Hawaii team that has a really good defense, it seems like. That's what seems like to be their specialty, not on the offensive side, but on the defense. I like Arkansas in that game, as you mentioned. I do apologize. I did mess up that graphic, everyone, so that's on me. Tyler picking High Point over Wisconsin in that round of 64 game. I obviously lean Wisconsin. It's the chalk pick to pick the Badgers. I think the Big Ten in basketball this year is really good, and I think it's a Wisconsin team that is really good. That will be a tough one for Arkansas, but we talked about the downsides of this game being so far away for Arkansas fans. The upsides is I think maybe it's because I don't know a ton about Hawaii basketball, but I think the upside is the draw that Arkansas does get. I'm okay with him against Hawaii. I like that. I'm okay, with him beating Wisconsin or beating High Point. And then Arizona after that, I'm okay with that as opposed to a Florida or a Duke. And I understand, Tyler, you mentioned that Koa Pete that Arizona has, and they're your national championship pick and all those things, and they are a really good team. But I like Arkansas right now, and I'm feeling good about them. So I feel like if they can get past this first weekend, man, I really like their chances in San Jose against Arizona. So I'm not saying I'm ready to exactly pick the Razorbacks to advance to the Elite Eight or the Final Four or any of those things. but I'm saying I'm confident in the team that Arkansas has. And I agree with you, Tyler. I think anything short of not winning 2 games this upcoming weekend in Oregon is a disappointment. They have the caliber of players that should be able to make it far. But the reality also is that it's March Madness, and it's crazy. And Arkansas could get knocked off by Hawaii. That's basketball. And so Arkansas will have to be ready to go. I know that's been a struggle with Coach Cal in his last couple of seasons with Kentucky, is struggling in this first round or second round with the Wildcats in the NCAA tournament. So hopefully he doesn't bring that to the Razorbacks. But recently, whether it's in the Eric Musselman era or now the Coach Cal era, Arkansas has played with a chip on their shoulder when they play against teams that they're not supposed to beat. So if they get past Hawaii, and if maybe people think they might be underdogs against Wisconsin, they're going to play ready to go against that Wisconsin team and get that win. And then once you get to Arizona, I'm not saying that's an easy win, but man, I'd feel confident in the Razorbacks because how can you not with the way that they're playing right now? You get Darius Acuff healthy, you get some more guys healthy, and you have to like this Arkansas team. So a lot to digest in that, Tyler. But I guess the summary of what I'm trying to say is I am confident. I think fans should be too.
All right, Nick, thank you very much. And I do hope in a couple weeks' time we're replaying these clips and going, Tyler was wrong, Nick was right. Arkansas is moving past Arizona to the Elite Eight. Long way to go, though, between now and then. Right now, it's Sunday. The Hogs are a 4 seed. They are SEC tournament champions, and nothing but madness and a couple weeks filled with hope awaits. You heard Nick and myself start talking about the teams that Arkansas might face, your Hawaiis, your High Points, your Wisconsins, etc. We are going to do a lot more of our homework, as will everyone else, and we will come back to you Wednesday night, 6:30 p.m. on THV11 and THV11 Plus. It is Hog Zone Chasing a Championship, a full half-hour special as we get you ready for Arkansas in the NCAA tournament. Everything you'll need to know about Arkansas, Hawaii, and everyone else in that West Regional. Again, coming your way Wednesday, 6:30 p.m. on THV11 and THV11 Plus. And we'll be on air in all our regular shows until then as well, getting you ready for the SEC tournament champions as they look to become NCAA tournament champions. For now, though, we thank Nick for all his fine coverage out in Nashville. You've been watching the THV11 Bracket Breakdown. Thank you.